The moment you close your eyes and fall asleep, the gates to your subconscious mind open. This is not a time for distraction or noise. It is a sacred passage. Your breath slows, your thoughts soften, and behind that silence lies your true self. In this space, you are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the noise of the world. You are pure potential, and potential must be directed with intention. Tonight, let your intention be transformation. You have carried too many beliefs that are not yours. You have allowed others to shape your mind with doubt, fear, and limitation. But now you are here, not by accident, but because your soul is ready to awaken. When the conscious mind sleeps, the subconscious listens deeply. And in this silence, you will speak not with words, but with energy. The energy of focus, the energy of discipline, the energy of self-trust. Your body rests, but your spirit must rise. You are not here to merely survive. You are here to grow, to evolve, and to understand the deepest truth of life, that everything begins within. You want to change your world? First master your thoughts. You want peace? Then silence the inner war. You want success? Then clear the fog of distraction and cultivate the garden of your mind. Each night is an opportunity, not just to sleep, but to refine your being. When you sleep with intention, you reprogram the script. You erase the old unconscious patterns and install wisdom. No more lies like I am not enough or I can't. Those are not truths. They are shadows, but light always overcomes shadow. From this night forward, you do not sleep like the unaware. You sleep like the disciplined. You sleep like the one who knows that rest is not escape, it is strategy. While others drift, you align. While others dream mindlessly, you dream consciously. While others surrender to chaos, you enter the temple of stillness. Let each breath remind you you are sacred. Your mind is a tool. Your spirit is timeless, and your purpose is waiting, not outside of you, but deep within. Tonight, as your body sleeps, your mind awakens. Let the silence speak truth. Let the darkness become light, and let the inner master guide you home. The subconscious mind opens during sleep in a way that it rarely does during waking life. When we are awake, our conscious mind acts as a filter, constantly analyzing, questioning, and controlling our experience. It processes the information of the outside world, deals with logic, and maintains the structures we rely on to navigate daily life. But once we close our eyes and surrender to sleep, this conscious filter softens and gradually fades away. In that deep state of rest, when brainwaves slow down and the body enters full relaxation, the subconscious becomes accessible, wide open, like fertile soil waiting for seeds to be planted. This is the moment when the internal world speaks louder than the external. Thoughts, beliefs, and emotions once buried come to the surface, and the mind becomes highly suggestible. It is during this time that new patterns can be formed and old ones rewritten. This opening of the subconscious is not random. It is a natural part of our design. The subconscious never sleeps. It continues to absorb and process everything, even when we are unaware. The words we hear before we drift off, the emotions we carry into our dreams, the final thoughts before surrendering to the night, all of these become programming instructions. If a person goes to bed filled with anxiety, fear, or self-doubt, the subconscious takes these feelings and reinforces them. But if one chooses to end the day with intention, peace, and affirmations of truth, the subconscious absorbs these instead and begins to shift. The power of this nightly window cannot be overstated. Each night is an opportunity to rewire the mind. It is a sacred doorway where the deepest transformation can occur without struggle. You do not have to force change. You simply have to create the right environment. By calming the breath, focusing the mind, and introducing empowering thoughts before sleep, you give the subconscious the tools it needs to reshape your reality from within. This is how healing happens silently. This is how self-belief is restored. This is how you awaken each morning slightly stronger, clearer, and more aligned than the day before. Many of the world's most deeply ingrained habits, behaviors, and fears are stored not in the conscious, but in the subconscious. And because the subconscious governs over 90% of our daily actions and reactions, it holds more power than we often realize. To access it while awake requires deep meditation or intense presence, but during sleep the door opens naturally. That is why sleep is not just rest, it is a spiritual practice when done with awareness. It is a moment where silence becomes the language of transformation. If one understands this truth, the entire rhythm of life can change. Sleep becomes more than a pause, it becomes preparation. Night becomes not the end of the day, but the beginning of inner work. And each time we lay down, we are given a chance to plant seeds of wisdom, peace, confidence, and clarity, seeds that will take root and shape who we are becoming. From the moment we are born, the world begins to shape us with its expectations, opinions, and limitations. These messages come from our parents, teachers, society, and even the media. Slowly and subtly, we begin to absorb beliefs that do not belong to us. We hear phrases like "that's not realistic" or "you're not good enough," or "people like you don't do things like that," and they begin to embed themselves in the subconscious mind. Over time, these limiting beliefs become internalized rules. They form invisible walls around our potential, confining what we dare to imagine and attempt. The tragedy is that most people never question these beliefs. They live their entire lives inside of a mental cage built by the voices of others. But the truth is this: you were not born with these limitations. You learned them, and what has been learned can be unlearned. Limiting beliefs are not truths, they are perspectives. Perspectives passed down from people who themselves were limited by fear, trauma, or ignorance. Just because someone else couldn't see your vision doesn't mean it isn't real. Just because society creates boxes doesn't mean you must live in one. You are not here to fit into a mold. You are here to break it. To release limiting beliefs, one must begin with awareness. Start noticing the inner dialogue that plays in your mind throughout the day. Catch the moments when you say, "I can't, I'm not ready, I'm not smart enough," or "it's too late." Ask yourself, whose voice is that? Where did it come from? And is it even true? Most often you'll realize that those thoughts are inherited. They don't originate from your deepest self. They are echoes from a world that has forgotten how powerful the human spirit truly is. Releasing these beliefs requires courage. It requires the willingness to stand apart from the crowd and reclaim the authority over your own mind. Begin to replace every limiting thought with a conscious, empowering one. When the world says you can't respond within, "I will." When doubt arises, choose trust. When fear knocks, greet it with presence. You don't need permission to believe in yourself. You only need the decision to stop allowing outdated programming to dictate your future. You must also realize that belief shapes behavior. If you believe you are not capable, you will unconsciously avoid opportunities to grow. If you believe you are unworthy, you will reject love, success, and abundance, even when they appear. But when you change the root belief, everything that grows from it changes. Confidence blooms. Purpose becomes clear, and doors that once seemed locked begin to open. The world may continue trying to define you, but the choice to accept or reject that definition is yours. Choose freedom. Choose clarity. Choose to return to who you were before the world told you who to be. That version of you, the one that is whole, powerful, and limitless, still alive, waiting to be remembered. And the moment you stop believing in your limitations, you begin living your truth. The subconscious mind is not influenced by logic, language, or rational thought in the way the conscious mind is. It is not persuaded by the words we say alone, but rather by the energy that underlies them. It listens not to what we speak, but to how we feel when we say it. This is why affirmations often fail when they are spoken without conviction. You can repeat "I am confident" 1,000 times, but if your energy is filled with doubt and fear, the subconscious does not accept the statement. It does not respond to hollow declarations. It responds to vibration. Emotion is the language it understands. When your words align with your emotional state, then the message penetrates deeply. That is when change begins. This is why inner transformation requires more than repeating positive sentences. It requires embodying the energy of those words. To speak to the subconscious effectively, you must become what you are saying. Feel it, breathe it, live it. If you want to reprogram the mind with thoughts of abundance, you must feel the energy of abundance in your body. If you want to heal from pain, you must generate the feeling of peace and trust. It is not the sentence "I am healed" that transforms the inner world. It is the presence of healing energy you radiate when you believe it fully. Your subconscious is like a child that doesn't understand complex explanations, but it learns quickly through experience and feeling. The more consistently you place yourself in a high state of emotional energy, peace, love, gratitude, determination, the more your subconscious begins to mirror that vibration. Over time, those emotions become your default setting. They become part of your identity. The most powerful way to communicate with your deeper mind is to align your thoughts, emotions, and body into a coherent signal. This alignment becomes a magnetic force that reshapes your inner reality. This is why practices like meditation, breathwork, and visualization are so effective. They quiet the chatter of the conscious mind and shift your entire energetic state. When you breathe deeply and visualize success or healing while feeling gratitude and presence, your subconscious begins to accept this as truth. Over time, this new pattern becomes your reality, not because of the words you said, but because of the energy you became. In the silent hours of the night, when the conscious mind softens, your energy speaks even louder. What you carry in your emotional field as you fall asleep becomes a direct message to your subconscious. That is why it's important to release fear, forgive yourself, and cultivate elevated emotions before sleep. It is not about saying the perfect sentence. It is about entering the perfect state. Words are tools, but energy is the blueprint. You must embody the future you wish to experience. With Speak Less, Feel More. Declare not only with your voice, but with your breath, your posture, your heart. When energy speaks, the subconscious listens. And when the subconscious changes, your entire life follows. Sleep is often misunderstood as simply a time for rest and recovery. But in truth, it holds a deeper power. It is a sacred window into the subconscious, a space where the conscious mind releases control and the true work of reprogramming begins. If approached with awareness and discipline, sleep becomes more than a pause in the day. It becomes a nightly ritual for transformation. The way we enter sleep shapes the quality of our inner world. Going to sleep without intention is like letting the mind wander aimlessly, while choosing to use sleep as a tool is like planting seeds in the most fertile soil. In this quiet, receptive state, the mind is open, the heart is vulnerable, and the spirit is listening. When discipline is applied to sleep, every night becomes an opportunity for growth. This does not mean forcing the mind or controlling the process. It means preparing the body, mind, and emotions to enter sleep with purpose. It begins with stillness. It requires clearing the mental noise of the day, releasing emotional tension, and letting go of judgment and resistance. It means aligning yourself with clarity and focus before you close your eyes. Just as a warrior sharpens their blade before battle, you must sharpen your consciousness before surrendering to rest. Inner discipline before sleep involves small, intentional choices. Avoiding distractions, limiting overstimulation, and creating a peaceful environment are acts of self-respect. Practicing breathwork or silence before bed centers the mind. Reflecting on your actions, thoughts, and progress turns sleep into a continuation of your inner work. By visualizing the person you are becoming, by affirming what you choose to believe, and by embodying peace, you enter sleep like a monk entering meditation. You don't drift. You direct. This conscious preparation carries into your subconscious mind and influences your dreams, your mood, and your behavior the next day. When this discipline becomes a habit, sleep no longer feels accidental. You begin to wake up more grounded, more aware, more attuned to your paths. You are no longer at the mercy of unconscious patterns. You are now shaping them. This is the true value of using sleep with discipline. It allows change to happen without struggle. The mind rewires itself in the background while you rest in stillness. And over time, the energy you sleep with becomes the energy you wake with. Most people use sleep to escape. But when you apply discipline, you use sleep to return to your inner center, your truth, your power. There is nothing passive about it. It is a silent ceremony, a nightly training, a powerful tool for spiritual and mental alignment. You may be lying down, but you are rising within. Each night becomes a journey inward. Each morning becomes a reflection of the intention you slept with. When you treat sleep as sacred, when you approach it with reverence and focus, it becomes the most consistent practice for self-mastery. Discipline at night creates direction by day. And in this rhythm, true transformation begins. The story you tell yourself every day becomes the script you live by. This internal narrative, made up of thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and assumptions, runs constantly in the background, shaping your behavior, influencing your decisions, and determining how you respond to the world. Most of this narrative was not consciously created. It was formed by childhood experiences, societal messages, emotional wounds, and repeated patterns. Over time, these experiences turn into silent beliefs like I'm not good enough, I always fail, or success is not for people like me. Left unchecked, these beliefs begin to define your reality. But the truth is you are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. And when you realize this, you gain the power to change it. Reprogramming your internal narrative begins with awareness. You must become a witness to your own thoughts. Observe them without judgment, like watching clouds pass across the sky. Notice what stories you repeat to yourself when you're under pressure, when you fail, or when you're alone. Do you speak with compassion or with criticism? Do you encourage growth or reinforce fear? Many people unconsciously become their own worst enemy, not because they want to suffer, but because they have never been taught to question the voice inside. The first step is to interrupt the cycle. To say this thought does not serve me, and to consciously choose another, but it is not enough to just think new thoughts. You must feel them. The subconscious mind responds to repetition and emotion. If you want to create lasting change, you must feed your mind with a consistent, emotionally charged message. Begin to rewrite your narrative by choosing empowering beliefs. I am worthy. I am capable. I am growing stronger every day. Speak them, write them, visualize them, and most importantly, feel them. Let the energy of these new truths sink deeply into your being. The more you repeat these inner truths with sincerity, the more your brain begins to rewire itself. Neural pathways associated with limitation begin to weaken, and new pathways associated with confidence, clarity, and purpose grow stronger. Over time, this new internal story becomes your default setting. You no longer have to force it. It becomes who you are. And when the inner story changes, your outer reality follows. Opportunities appear. Relationships shift. Life begins to reflect the truth you now believe. Changing your internal narrative is not about denial. It is not pretending pain never happened or avoiding difficulty. It is about reclaiming authorship. It is about choosing to see yourself not as a victim of life, but as the conscious creator of it. The voice inside your mind can either be a weapon that weakens you or a tool that empowers you. The choice is yours. With every thought, you are either reinforcing an old identity or stepping into a new one. Speak to yourself as you would speak to someone you deeply love. That voice becomes your reality. And when that voice speaks truth, strength, and possibility, you begin to live a life aligned with your highest self. In a world filled with noise, speed, and constant motion, the most profound wisdom is often found in stillness. The more you chase answers outside of yourself, the more disconnected you become from the truth that already lives within. You were born with inner clarity, with natural intuition, with a silent wisdom that speaks when everything else becomes quiet. But over time, layers of doubt, fear, conditioning, and distraction begin to cover that truth. The mind becomes noisy, the body restless, and the spirit forgotten. To find your way back to balance, you don't need to search harder. You need to slow down and listen. Stillness is not the absence of activity. It is the presence of depth. It is the sacred space where your inner master waits. Your inner master is not some distant figure or unreachable state. It is the part of you that remains calm in chaos, wise in uncertainty, and grounded amidst change. It doesn't shout for your attention. It whispers, and you can only hear it when you stop long enough to listen. In stillness, you begin to notice what truly matters. You begin to see the patterns that keep you stuck and the beliefs that no longer serve you. You begin to feel again, not with emotional turbulence, but with clarity and honesty. This is the path of returning, not to something new, but to something ancient within you. When you sit in stillness, whether through meditation, reflection, or conscious breathing, you shift from reaction to awareness. You create space between thought and action, between stimulus and response. In that space, wisdom is born. The inner master speaks in the language of presence. It teaches patience, discipline, and alignment, not through force, but through insight. It reminds you that you are not your fears, you are not your past, you are the observer, the creator, and the student of your own life. And when you reconnect with this awareness, the way you see the world begins to transform. Stillness is not about escaping life's responsibilities. It's about meeting them with a deeper sense of purpose. When you operate from the wisdom of your inner master, you are no longer led by impulse or external pressure. You move with intention. You speak with clarity. You act from understanding rather than reaction. This is not weakness. It is strength rooted in awareness. The strongest person is not the one who controls everything, but the one who is fully present with everything and still chooses peace. Returning to your inner master is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice, a quiet commitment to create space within yourself where truth can breathe. The more often you return to that space, the more natural it becomes. And over time, you begin to live from that place, not only in meditation, but in every conversation, every challenge, every moment. You stop looking for validation outside because you carry wisdom within. In stillness, you remember who you are, you remember your path, and you begin to walk it with grace, clarity, and unshakable peace.